Hi everybody, and welcome to our show. I'm Marilyn Dayton, your host and producer for this episode of From This Corner TV. We're so glad that you could join us. Today, we're going to be talking about music and how it can influence children. And you're going to love this because we've got two great teachers with us today. But what I want to say first is I want to remind you that the reason we're here is not just to entertain you, but talk about topics that both interest you and educate you. And on today's show, we're going to be talking with two teachers in the Stonington, Connecticut school system. Now, why is this program going to be so important? I know you're asking that. Okay, why is this one going to be so important, Marilyn? Because these two teach music and teach it very well. Music is so important for children all over the world. You remember when Jim Papoulis, the composer who's worked with a lot of the huge names in the music world, his real passion is working with children. Well, consider this part two of that show. We're going to bring it down to the regional spot, because music helps children feel like they belong. Music gives children a way to express themselves. Music can make a difference in children's lives. That's why it's so important. So we have with us, we have Effman-Gilbert, and we have James Hilbie. And I am just I'm personally proud to have them with us because my granddaughter, this is her teacher for music, for select chorus and chorus. And my grandson, Mr. Hilbie, is the band teacher and the jazz band that my grandson is in. And I just love going to these concerts because I'll tell you something. I've never been to concerts before where I haven't heard a lot of the songs, because Ellen brings these unique pieces that are about life all over the world and from different cultures, and it's just the coolest thing. And you fall in love with this music. It's very hard. Okay, first of all, I'm standing there listening and I'm going, how can they learn this? She's going to tell us, okay? And Mr. Hilbie, I'll tell you something. I love the way you connect with the audience. And the way you connect with the students just love coming into your class. And we're going to talk about it, okay? So shut up, Marilyn, and let these people talk, okay? And by the way, get out your pen and paper, okay? Because we're going to be reminding you why music is so important, okay? You may want to take notes. Who knows? Okay. Ellen, ladies first.
Of course.
Tell us a little bit about your background and why it ended up with you being a music teacher.
Well, I have to say I do come from a long line of musicians, not necessarily professionally, but my Nana was in vaudeville, and she played piano, and then my aunt and mother played piano, and my dad played trombone, and my mom was a French horn player. Just everyone was a musical in the family. And, we just grew up going to church every Sunday and singing in the choir. And I don't think there was ever a time where I didn't know how to read music. It was kind of like we just got a hymnal, and they were like, well, go figure it out, kids. My sister and I singing. And even harmony, I just remember being in the car, and my parents, we'd sing a song and they'd say, okay, girls, make up a harmony. We didn't know what we were doing really. They said, just, stay in a note. When it doesn't sound good, go to another note. And right, it's true. And we learned how to harmonize. And, it just was, it wasn't even a second thought. It was just so part of our family culture. And then I went to Mystic Junior High at the time. And I had a fabulous teacher, Michelle Holt, who is now Dr. Holt. She taught at Stonington High School for many years and now is at University of Rhode Island on the music faculty there. And she followed us to high school. So I had her for really my middle school and high school year. I had Pam Young as my elementary music teacher. and my first show was Oliver, and I just loved it. I loved Pam, and just saw her yesterday, in fact. But it was just a great experience, and I think Michelle Holt said to me, you knew since you were born that you were going to be a music teacher. I think I just have always known that it was. It had to be a part of my life. I don't think it was really even a choice.
But your family and then school nurtured that natural interest that you had.
Absolutely, and I hate to say it, but at that time when I announced my plans to be a music teacher, it was not received with encouragement from my guidance counselor. But my parents said, we think that you want to go into music. We 100% support that decision, and I mean the rest is
history.
Yeah, it was like magic. It really is. Yeah.
Now you're not just a singer and a music teacher, but you also play an instrument.
I played French horn for many, many years, starting in 4th grade, and played with Mr. Dumas, who's still at Pawtucket Middle School. He was my teacher, and Mr. Noonan, a lot of names around, and played for Bob Klaus and Eastern Connecticut Youth Symphony Orchestra, and so that was kind of the rule in my house, and piano. Just had to do everything, kind of.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because you played with the band this past year at one of the concerts.
Which was really fun. Jim does just an amazing job with the jazz band program, and there's one of the bands is open to anybody. And so my daughter, who is a violinist and vocalist, she and I decided we'd do a little mother-daughter thing. So she brought her violin, and I brought my French horn, and we were representing the orchestra in the jazz band, which was kind of funny.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you two have known each other a long time.
About 18 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
It's fairly long.
Now let's talk to you, Jim.
Yes.
Tell us about your background. What got you interested in music?
All right. We have some things in common. No one in my family, my mom and dad were not musical. They loved music, but they weren't involved. They didn't play instruments and so forth. And I think starting in early on, I always liked to sing, and I was involved. I brought some visual aids. I was in this show called Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, and I was Abdul Hassan. And I was told that I memorized everyone's lines, including mine. I had a solo, and that was in 2nd grade. And at the time, I know my outfit was made out of curtains because they had the fiberglass, and it was a little itchy, but it was good. It was good for me. And so, and the turban, the whole deal. So I was in the show, and then I had a teacher in junior high school, which was Paul Salino. And it just so happened that he also went up to high school when I went up to high school, like Dr. Holt did with you. And at the time, I was singing and playing. I played the tuba. I actually started in the violin, but I took it in 4th grade, and all the girls took summer music workshop, and I didn't, although I thought it was very good. And then he said, "Who would like to play the sousaphone?" I said, "I'll do it." That's what I stayed on, the tuba and the sousaphone for the rest of my teaching. That's my main instrument now. And during junior high school, I brought another visual aid. We made this album, which is a 33.5. I think that's what they used to call it, right? 33.
Yeah.
And we made an album actually at the school, which was really a cool thing. And I'm saying this because it's those kind of moments that kind of draw you into where you're going. Going to high school with Mr. Salina, everything he did was very classy. Norman Elia in the choral, we sang the first half of Handel's Messiah, which is really hard, and ended with the Alleluia chorus. And he brought alumni in, had a small chamber orchestra. It was really top shelf stuff, and that guided me to and I didn't think of anything else except to be in as a music teacher, because I think I went to school because of music. I did well in school, but that was merely my drive. They say be there at 6 o'clock for music. Okay, be there at 6 o'clock for science. I'll be there, but I won't be as enthusiastic about it, but I would be there. Although I love science, and music and science go together, so that's pretty much where I'm at.
Okay, you say music and science go together. What does that mean?
Well, when in band class, we talk about the overtone series, we talk about sound waves, and the faster the vibration, the faster the sound, the faster the wave, and the slower the vibration, the slower the wave. So we don't go into it too much in depth, but and then how we tune our instruments is based on a 440, which is a strobe. It's a strobe.
The sine wave, yeah.
Yeah, sound wave. And so we talk to students about how their instruments, the shorter the instrument, shorter the bar in the xylophone, the higher the sound because of the vibration. So we interlock a lot of different subjects into what we're doing.
And the physiology of the voice and, you know, the anatomy and that kind of thing. Because the voice is an internal instrument as opposed to the external, and that's a hard concept for children to understand. So that it takes some explaining for them to understand what's really happening with their bodies and the alignment and their vocal folds, which they call vocal cords. They're really vocal folds and all of that. So, you know, we try to make those connections, you know, as much as we can.
You know, I don't remember ever hearing any of that when I was in school. All we did was J.B. Matson was my vocal teacher. I was in vocal rather than, although I played piano, I wasn't in any band or anything. My brother was in everything, music, sports, you name it, and he did well at everything too. But I remember Mr. Matson would just simply tell us to, you know, breathe before this note or that kind of thing, just, you know, pretty really basic, even though my brother and I were together in the Qualitones, which was our select chorus. I love that name, Qualitones. Isn't that kind of cool?
Cute.
Yeah. And we go all over the place and sing to like the local Kiwanis Club meeting, or we go to town hall, you know, before a special meeting, and we'd sing and perform. And for just a moment, I want to share with you what music meant to me. There was some bad times, and there were some good times. Okay, I had this piano teacher that I was scared to death of because she would pound the piano when I'd make a mistake or if I wasn't in time. But I persevered, and I knew it was important because I loved it. I played piano every day at home, and just loved it. And but singing was special to me because my brother and I did it together in school. And talk about harmonizing. My brother and I would just start harmonizing, you know, just singing something, anything, and I'd hear my mother in the kitchen tune in, and then my dad would do his bum bada bum bum things, and it was just really kind of a cool thing, and that's one of my happy memories from my childhood. But okay, so you both decided to become music teachers. And did you start in the Stonington schools?
No, actually, I started in Bridgeport, and I had right in the inner city in Father Panic Village, and it was a little culture shock. It was not a good neighborhood, but I really enjoyed it, and I did that for 1 year, and then I was lucky enough to be asked to be a grad assistant to Marilyn Dayton and Dr. Peter Bagley at UConn. So that worked out pretty well because I got my master's for free.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so I went back to study the methodology that I use now, which is the Kodai method. And then after that, I taught in Hartford for 4 years before coming to Stonington. So I have definitely, you know, suburb and, you know, urban experience, and it was great. I loved Hartford too. It was like a UN of students, you know, with so many different experiences in music, and they taught me so much. It was really great.
And tell us a little bit about, I know that the select chorus was in competition recently, correct? State. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So,
well, you know.
So there are a lot of opportunities. I think, you know, just backing up for a minute, I know Jim will agree. It's we love our, you know, the special groups, but the meat and potatoes and where we feel our heart is with our everyday groups. You know, those the kids that are coming in the 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th grade band and chorus every day. That is how we structure and can kind of have the extra group, and they are so wonderful. But the joy comes from seeing the kids on that daily basis struggle, and probably even the kids who come the farthest, is really so wonderful to see. But to answer your question, there's an opportunity each year to submit a tape for a lot of different things, and so this year I submitted a tape, and Jim has done it several times in the past also for the state conference, and we just happened to be the only middle school that they picked this year, so that was a really great honor, and we were able to premiere Mr. Papulis's piece that he wrote for the choir. So it was a neat year. It was a really great year.
And I know that your heart and passion is with your students, because when it was the last concert at school, and your eighth graders were singing to you, and just the tears, the choking, it was very moving for all of us to watch, and it moved you quite a bit. I could tell.
The kids, there's just there's nothing better. I mean, I have a church choir too. I love my adults, I really do. But just to see a child progress and to gain, as we were speaking about, gain that confidence. Where they start. I mean, I think about, some of the kids in your granddaughter's grade who were so frightened to even sing in front of me as fifth graders, and then by eighth grade we're trying out for solos. And it's that process, and it's staying with it. It's the integrity that it gives kids. It's whether they go into music or not. It's just such a life lesson. That just the dedication that it takes to, goodness gracious, when I think about, I listen to Jim, the fifth grade, right? And what they sound like, that symphonic sound that your kids get in eighth grade, it's amazing.
It is amazing. And I know that you put in a lot of time before school and after school with your band students. Tell us a couple of fun memories, things that stood out in your mind from this past year, that maybe, that you do things that not a lot of other people do. You go over to, is it Stone Ridge?
Yes.
And Stone Ridge is it's a facility that's available for living and being in a, it's kind of like a living facility, but it's for seniors and people who need additional help. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And so there are quite a few people older than me, would you believe it, are there. And when we saw you, I mean, they were getting up and dancing. I mean, it was just waving their hands to the music, and you just handled it. It's like you are there every day talking to them. The way you presented that to me was one of the highlights of the year. But that's, a grandmother speaking. So tell us some of the, wait a minute, let's go back a minute. You didn't start at Stonington either. You've got a long history here.
Oh yeah, very long. All right, here we go, yeah. I taught 4 years in Terryville. I actually started in Meriden. I taught half a year in Meriden as a general music teacher in 3 different schools, and then I got a job in Terryville, Connecticut, and I was the chorus teacher and the band teacher, and I did it all in the school. And then I went to Manchester, Connecticut for 10 years, and it was a junior high school that we went to a middle school then, and I did just instrumental, no general music, just instrumental lessons. And then I was looking to start beginners, because probably the thing I enjoyed the most is starting off beginners. And then the job opened up in Mystic, and I got the job in Mystic. That was 18 years ago. So I'm going to my 33rd year of teaching, and I think starting off beginners is probably the highlight of my year. It's a lot of work and it's hard, but it's like we tell them, the instrument is their baby, and they should need to treat it like the baby. They have to sing to the baby. They have to bounce the baby on their lap. They have to chant to the baby. And we go through all these things. They don't name their baby, but they've got to take care of it like a baby. And you're singing these songs to them because then eventually you want your baby to then perform. And then we get to hear your baby. So they have to practice so the babies come in ready to perform. And one of the things that we feel very strongly about is that singing is really the root of what we do at Mystic Middle School, because they sing in band class. Of course, they sing in chorus, but there's heavy on the singing in chorus, very lighter on the singing in band, but we sing to learn. We learn through our ears, and then we show them through our eyes. And that's the important thing. It's not rote learning, because if it's rote learning, you're just going through the ears and not showing them. So we're teaching them through their ears, like the way that we learn to speak, the way we learn to like we're communicating here. We don't have any papers that we're talking. We're just talking. Of course, I have some things here, but not using right now. But we really feel strongly about that. And the methodologies that we use is the singing. And so after we sing, then we play. But I think, talking about my highlights, I think starting beginners each year is one of my highlights. Playing at Stone Ridge is one of my highlights. And one of the reasons why is because we're playing music that our friends at Stone Ridge lived.
Yeah.
They lived through Take the A Train. They lived through Misty. They lived through the charts. And we have a communication, and believe it or not, even though I'm in front and giving the monologue, and I had a chance to dance with someone, I always ask them to dance. I was dancing this year. It's really the children. It's all about them, and we really get out of the way.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Gilbert and I get out of the way, because once we teach them, and I say we learn together, which I'm going to go back to something you said earlier, is it's all about them. And the seniors really are coming to see them. Although they say thank you to me, it's really about the children, because the children are the ones that are performing. And it's about their passion and their hard work. And going back to earlier, you said about how your course teacher said where you should breathe. And years ago, which was great, the conductors did do a lot of the telling us what we should do and how we should do it. And with the new national standards that are out now, and we've been doing this, I think, not patting ourselves on the back, but we will, is we ask the students, where do you think you should breathe? Where would be a smart place to breathe?
Absolutely.
To get them to be a partner in what we're doing. If there's a wrong note, okay, between measures 5 and 12, something happened, what happened? Okay, someone didn't play B flat in the clarinet section, great. Let's figure out who knows how to play B flat, we help each other out, and we go on. If we fix it all, it's that quote, if you give someone a fish,
Right.
you fed them for a day.
Yeah.
If you teach them how to fish, they never go hungry. So we have been doing this actually for a pretty long time, but they're bringing to the forefront now that they want the children to be partners in what we're doing. Of course, we're the CEOs. We know exactly what we need to be done and what has to be done at certain times, but we get them to buy into what we're doing. So that was going back to what you said earlier about where you should breathe. We ask them, or this is where you should breathe. We ask them, where would be a good place to breathe? Because they're not going to break up a phrase. A lot of times it's the commas and the periods in the text that you would take a breath or a pause, but not a lot, big pause. And sometimes you don't.
So I basically learned by rote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that
I love
was,
that,
and
too.
you're right, and that kind of was the way that you did it. And in the 1950s, Zoltán Kodály from Hungary, which is kind of where we sort of get our methodology, he found that students were coming to the university and were really, the level of musicianship was really going down. And he said, well, by the time I get them at the university, it's too late. We need to start earlier. So he started a national movement with Bela Bartok, and they did a ton of research and collected the music of the mother tongue. And they went back and they were ethnomusicologists basically, and they recorded, and they went to all these villages and recorded all this music, and they said, all right, we have to find a better way to teach our kids. We want to teach them with the music that they know. And they went from the sounds to then introducing the visuals of what they were singing by using simple folk songs. And that's where, you know, the outgrowth of the methodologies that we teach with. I'm a Kodály person, but then, and you can speak to Edwin Gordon, took that and sort of applied it and said, okay, now how can I make this work for the instrumentalist? And that's the methodology that we use, but it's all the language first. So when our kids come in, they're making music. They're not getting a piece of sheet music and saying, okay, here's a whole note. You know, that's just symbol identification. That's like being able to say, well, I know what the letters of the alphabet are, but I really don't know how to spell anything, you know. And we really do it, which maybe seem to some people the opposite way, but it's becoming more the way of that people are teaching. the other way is what you'd call the traditional method, and so I guess we're not traditional, but.
And I'm so glad, because I see the results. I come to every single concert, and I don't want to miss a thing, because not just because it's my grandkids, but because it's music that touches the audience. You know, those of us, I mean, we're proud anyway, because we're family. But it's just, you know, when I see the little guy playing his drums, I just, you know, and I look over at my daughter and my son-in-law, and we're like all choked up, because, I mean, he's just there doing his thing, you know, and he's so proud of what he does, and he loves it. And you know, he's so connected to the music.
They are so inherently musical. And sometimes I think that if we don't quite go about it the right way, we kind of get it out of them instead of encouraging that. And I think we you know, when they sing, you know, the most important thing is that they sing musically, and we work on, okay, now we're going to tune our voices and make sure that the notes are quite right there. But the thing that we want them to do is to sing musically, you know.
And getting back to the methodology is Kodai, Suzuki, and Edwin Gordon. All of them are great researchers and said that you should learn through your ears before your eyes. And my parents, who are not musical, it would make sense for them more than someone that maybe has gone through a traditional training to say, well, we're going to teach our babies our instruments, we're going to play tunes first, we're going to have them sing before they learn to read, because that's how babies do it. They learn to babble, they learn to talk, they have conversations, they learn their alphabet, but they didn't identify what the letters are. They learn their name, they learn words, and then we start showing them what they actually know because they've already said it. And that's what we do in music, is that's our methodology. But we don't just use one, because one size doesn't fit all. See, I use sound before sight. I use a lot of the Edwin Gordon methodologies. I also use some Kodai. So and then Suzuki is just how you hold, well, not how, but how you hold your instruments, and it's the posture. So it's and of course playing songs by ear and repetition. But we don't have one size that fits all, because we share. We actually, years ago, we talked about the methodology that we wanted to use for rhythm syllables. And it was ta's, ta, ti, ta, and terry for the Kodai.
And that's the Hungarian.
Right. And we then, and there was a due-date system that was designed by, I believe, Edwin Gordon. And so we decided, and a lot of other people, not just us, but we decided we were going to keep it consistent in our department, so we decided that we were going to collaborate. And that's something I think is unique with us, is that we do collaborate, we do talk. We sometimes scratch each other a little bit because we're supposed to, because we have a musical relationship, but then we work it out and we just go. But it's always for the good of the children. It's all about the kids, and Ellen said that.
Absolutely.
And I thought after we learn the notes and the rhythms, that's when we make music.
That is when it starts.
That's the beautiful part. That's when, like I tell them, people that are on stage and they have to learn their lines. You know, you can't go to someone and say, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. It's got to be from the heart. It's got to get rid of the book and say, you know, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. You know, it's just got to be, it's got to be passion.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow. And you know, I've had.
That was to my wife. Sorry. How do I love her?
You know, it's.
Isn't that funny? She was going to say, what did you do that for? I don't know why.
I told you not to make faces.
I know. Hi, Barbara.
Well, you know, right now might be a really good time. It's just about time for our, we take a 2-minute break and show some PSAs. And then we'll come back. And what I would like to do is I would like to get a little bit more into the guts of music and what it does to us as people, how important it is for our children and that kind of thing. Okay?
Sure.
So we're going to take a little break right now. And we're going to really get into some more interesting things about music and children. So hang in there and we'll be right back.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making Home Affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darts there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is NNAMDI ASOMUGHA. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
Hi, and welcome back. As you recall, last month we had Jim Papoulis here, and I mentioned him at the beginning. We've been mentioning him on and off. Who, yes, he's worked with some of the biggest stars in the music world. But as you recall, his true passion is working with children all over the world. And he believes that music can heal, educate, celebrate, and empower the lives of children. And that's what we're talking about tonight with our guest teachers, Ellen Effman-Gilbert and Jim Hilbie. And they agree with that philosophy and passion. But first, I recently saw, we all see music videos and stuff on Facebook, who doesn't? And there's a remake of a Beach Boys song, God Only Knows What I Do Without You. And that's for the love of music, and with a variety of musical stars. Now, to me, that shows how important the participation in music is for everyone, whether it's listening, playing a musical instrument, singing a song, singing in the shower. It's the importance of music in our lives. And unfortunately, many school districts across the country go on what they call the austerity budget, or they have to change their budgets and cut something. And as we've all been there and experienced, the first things to go are the arts. And when they cut the arts, especially the music, these are ways of children of expressing themselves. And they've noticed that the test scores are going down. They're concentrating on math and other educational subjects like English, but the scores are going down. So we're going to talk about how important it is to keep those arts and music in schools today. Okay, this is a passion of mine. So I'm going to open it up to the two of you, and will you share with us how you feel about the importance of music and children?
Ooh, that is such a big subject.
It is.
I think we would have to agree that music is pervasive in our lives. I mean, you can't watch TV without hearing music in the background. It exists in everything. It exists in, the wind in the trees and the rhythm of your step. It's just, I think it's just part of the human existence. And oh boy, I think, for children, the thing that I think that music differs a little bit is it's a non-competitive way to be involved with your peers is one thing. When you're in an ensemble, it is a team effort, but you're not then competing against someone else. So it has a likeness of athletics, but it also has that difference that you are all going, working towards one goal, and you're not there to be, okay, now we're going to go play the next team. You're there as a unit, and every single solitary person matters. It's a hefty question.
It is. Now, I've seen changes in children through the years, and I've seen changes in music. You know, our music has been evolving in different ways, and a lot of old music is coming back. You know, it's wonderful to see Lady Gaga, you know, pairing up and bringing back some of the old music. But what I love to see is, and Jim Papoulas talked about this, he said, I see children who are on the outside, who are needy, who maybe don't have a home. You know, they're just kind of living on the corner, and we offer them the opportunity to come into a building, listen to music, participate in the music, and he says, I see the change in these children. All of a sudden they belong to something.
Yeah.
And it makes them important, where on the outside they were not important. And I'm sure you both, through the years, have seen children evolve from both learning the music and participating in the music.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is knowledge is power. And we listen to, like you say, we listen to music all the time. And there's no other class in school that you can learn music except really music. You can learn math skills, some math skills in science because you need those. Reading is in all the classes. So you can learn other subject areas through other subject areas, but really music is very unique. And you need a highly trained music teacher in the classrooms, because sometimes they have people that come in that are wonderful musicians, professional musicians, but if they're not highly qualified as far as teaching is a skill and an art in and of itself. Yeah. So we feel that we are that's something that we pride ourselves on in how we teach. So I wanted to bring that up. There's a passion. You see, everyone becomes, like Ellen had said, you become a part of a team. Just by being in the class, you are a team member. In our bands and choruses during the school day, as Ellen had mentioned, that we had talked about this actually at the end of the school year.
Right.
These are the most important classes we have: the 5th grade band, the 5th grade chorus, the 6th grade band and choruses, 7th and 8th grade. And there's such different varieties of talent in that class. You know, we have students that can learn something before we even get it out of our mouth. It seems like they can sing it back for us. We have some that take a little more time. So there's that balancing, and it's such a cool thing that you know, you listen to others and you get on board, and before you know it, we're molding everyone, and we all have the same direction. We all have the same goal, and the goal is to take this piece of music and to make it into our piece of music. And that's the creative juices. Once again, they talk about creative juices. Well, Ellen did a big unit this year on composing. Was it composing either this year or last year? And you know, that's where the creative juices come. But there's a lot of readiness before you do that. So it's a part of being a team. There's self-discipline. It's thinking of others before self, because you really have to look. You have to learn your part, because your part makes the difference. I tell them it's like taking a picture. In a picture, it's all dots of color, and you're a dot. And if you don't know your part, or if you're not there, there's something missing, or a piece of the puzzle's missing. Puzzle looks beautiful, but if there's one piece missing, it takes away, because you focus on that. You need everybody. And that's some of the things that we how we teach them, and in a variety of different ways of teaching them. So it is so important, and I know that when the kids come in, you know, they're ready to go. You know, they come down. In fact, 5th graders are always running, but they come down ready to sing, and we work them hard. They have to sit up on their chairs. They have to listen when others are singing. They have to listen to them. They're critiquing their peers, critiquing in a way to make us better, not criticizing, but critiquing to make better. And we teach them that. You know, you have to teach them everything. You have to teach them how to say something nice. It's you know, American Idol is really great, and they've been a little bit more candid about their sayings. But you know, you just don't say to someone, you know, that was awful. I didn't like the way you sang. We find something that's good, and we find something we can make it better. But you have to train them on how we have them assess themselves and evaluate.
We practice that a lot. I think that's one thing. A couple of things that I love that we do is that every 5th and 6th grader has to take music. It's not a choice. And some schools do it a different way, and it's sort of an elective kind of thing, but we really feel that the best way to learn music is by doing it. And so in 5th and 6th grade, we say, pick one or the other. We don't care what you pick. We are happy. Both groups are great. You're going to love it no matter what you do. You pick what is going to work and that is going to be the best way for you to learn. Because it's the first chance that they get to be in an ensemble and understand the scope of what that means, and that responsibility that you're talking about. And then in 7th grade, if it's not a fit for a student, we do have a smaller class of general music. I think we maybe have 10 kids last year maybe in the whole school that elected that, the performing thing was just not for me. I would rather be in a little bit smaller setting. But I mean, 99% of our students stay in the performing ensembles, and that's the best way to learn it. But getting back to what Jim said at the assessment piece, right from the get-go, we have them perform alone and with others in small groups, which is one of the national standards, and we practice, so what are we listening for? And 5th grade is, well, do we have the right rhythms, and do we have the right pitches, and do we have the right tempo, and are we playing it musically? And each year we add a little bit more to that. Okay, now we're going to listen for phrasing. Now we're maybe going to listen for dynamics, and we kind of keep building on that assessment piece so that, by 8th grade, they really are able to assess themselves. And that's kind of, you said, going back to your conductor, we want them to be able to listen and reflect on their performance and say, well, I know that I'm not quite right here, so I can kind of strategize a rehearsal for myself, and I can know what to practice, because that's huge. You say to a kid, well, go home and practice. Okay. You need to teach them that too.
Yeah, and
Jim does a lot with that.
Yeah, and a part of what our philosophy too is we have student teachers that come in, and one of the things I ask the student teacher is define teaching, and define teaching to me is not to be needed. See, we want to teach them, and we want them to know. We don't give them too much. We give them a little bit at a time, as Ellen said, because it's overload. But we want them to be able to listen to a piece of music, to assess why they like it or they don't like it in a musical way, and speaking musically, what they can do to better their performance, and that is making them independent. You see, that's why students go from 6th to 7th grade, because they've mastered those skills. We want not to be needed. We don't want to lose our jobs, so then we teach them something new, and we bring them to another level. But really, it's not to be needed. And when they can do that, or when they put that song together for Mrs. Gilbert at the concert, that to her is like the validation sticker to say, as emotional as it was, and I'm sure it was, I wasn't there unfortunately, the best part is that they did something on their own, and that's what you want. I had some 8th graders do the same thing at the LaGrua Center on the 20th of June, which I couldn't attend. They put themselves together with Mrs. Lamb, they put it together, and they performed. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. You want them to be able, and also select music that's good for them to use. So those are really important things, not to be needed. And we teach them enough that hopefully by 5th grade they can get through this part, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th.
And I've noticed at concerts that every once in a while you will stand aside and they will perform, and you're not there conducting them and telling them what to do, quiet here, up here, that kind of thing. You've taught them, and now they're doing their music, and you do physically step aside and let them do it. I had never seen that before in any other place. Not that I've been to a lot of different schools, but I was very involved when my kids were young in the school districts. And and the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, okay, that's different. I wonder why they did that. And then it kind of hit me, you're letting them do their music.
Yeah.
Because you've taught them, and now you're on, kids.
And that's the coaching part. Neil Connors years ago she was a speaker for the New England League of Middle Schools. I don't know if you ever met her. I'll go a little back further than you. She used to do this hat thing. And sometimes in school you have to wear a hard hat. When you learn the notes and rhythms, it's hard, so you got to wear the hard hat. Then sometimes you have to wear the police hat, because sometimes you have to police them to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. When we're in a concert, we have the cheerleading hat before the concert. Right. At the concert, we have kind of the coach's hat, because we're off to the side. We've already coached them, but that's when they have to do their thing. Once they're in the middle of a song, it's going.
Yeah,
That's it. And if something doesn't work, okay, then we have to learn to adjust, and we figure out what we need to do, and we mold ourselves, and we go on our merry way. And music's not perfect, so a lot of times we hear music that's has been recorded for hundreds of hours in the studio, but when you come to our concerts, it's live, it's in the moment, and that it doesn't get any more fresh than that. You know, it's like going to a stand, or going, not even to a stand, but going to the plant and taking the tomato off. It doesn't get fresher than that. And that's what we do. And that's the beautiful part of music, too, is that it's in the moment.
It is.
And every time we perform, it's always a little different. It's never exactly the same.
And boy, what a skill that is.
Yep.
Monitoring and adjusting. I mean, when they're performing, those cylinders are just firing because they have to be monitoring and listening and fixing and making decisions at a split second, you know, especially if, you know, something's a little bit, it goes a little bit differently, you know, they have to work together. And, you know, it's like, you know, if anybody that's ever conducted, if a group starts rushing, you know, how amazing is it that they can get back in tempo together? It's like fish swimming the same way, and they turn quickly, and they all go the same direction. It's really an amazing thing to see them, and stepping away and allowing that to happen, and being okay with it being a little bit messy to get that product and have them have that moment. I think some of the most amazing times are when they make mistakes and they come out of it. You say, and how do you feel about that? You know, how did you make that work? And let's remember what you just did there. You know, they're like, wow, we just fixed that, and you know, they just take such pride and joy in that. They feel like, oh, wow, I really am responsible for this, and that's where that stepping back piece is really. It's more powerful than standing right there and dictating everything sometimes, you know.
And you know what, it's at, the school is out, and the summer is here, but you've got some, I know you've got some feedback from some of your music students and some of the parents.
Right.
And I'd really love for you to share that with us.
Let me share a couple of things. And if I say band or jazz band, it's related to both the slick singers and also all our ensembles in general. It's just the person that's speaking is maybe an instrumentalist at the time, but they all sing anyways, right?
You got. We are really take pride in being a team.
Yes,
right.
you do.
Absolutely.
It's noticeable.
This young lady says, and she's 14, I have reached a point where it's less about simply playing music and more about making it. The most apparent change, however, can be seen in me. Learning to play an instrument and being in part of the band has given me things that no other club, sport, or extracurricular activity could ever have done. In elementary school and below, I had never possessed much certainty in myself. However, and you would know in this young lady, however, with each audition, solo tryout, and with every playing test and lessons, the confidence growing within me began to overcome my fears of making mistakes and performing in front of others. So it's just beautifully said.
Yep.
This little boy here says that I think that music is very creative, and so are the people that make it. I find it interesting how songs are written and put together in different ways. The thing I like most, however, is the fact that when I listen to or play music, it makes me happy and gets me in a good mood. And this is a sixth grader. And we have another sixth grader. I love the connection I feel between people through music. I also love the sounds that people produce because it can reach the heart of anyone. I do see myself continuing to endeavor in music after middle school and high school. I hope to incorporate it in college as academic stress relief. Music is a gift I never want to let go.
I love that academic stress
Yeah.
relief. That's
There you go.
perfect.
And I asked a few parents to say what it is done, and a couple of the parents this parent here said, I believe that music empowers students to both express their talents and to channel their energy in a healthy, productive way. Music helps students to realize and or better understand that successful performances do not just happen, it is a process. Music helps provide opportunities for boosting self-esteem. Music helps students to understand that every member of the band, orchestra, chorus needs to work together to achieve harmony and that every instrument voice is important. So, you know, just a lot of stuff. This one here says he has matured, gained so much confidence, has incredibly challenged, but has risen to those challenges. He has been challenged and sees a new future opening up for himself. This is what a parent sees in her son. Being a part of the band and the chorus has shown him that through hard work and dedication, success can be achieved. It has taught him patience, perseverance, and to be proud of success. So it's pretty much what we have said, but I wanted to get a couple words from students and from some parents too, because it's you know it's really their words. We always kind of look for them, and you know that like I said, that goes for both the parents. And what's nice about this is that the parents in this one here and the others always say about the band and the voice. You know, the chorus and the band. They don't just, because they know we work together, so that's a really a tribute to the Mystic Music Department, in my opinion, because they know we work together.
And you do. That's, well, I've seen the results. And when we've been talking about Stonington School District and Mystic, Connecticut, you might be a little confused if you're not from this region. The town of Mystic is not really a town. Okay, that's confusing you more. It's situated on the Mystic River in Connecticut. On one side, it's the Groton School District. On the other, it's the Stonington School District. And we live on the Stonington School District side. And they're talking about Mystic Middle School, which is where my grandchildren have been going. One of them, she's going on to the high school this year. And so we're all getting up a lot earlier in the morning. I have so enjoyed having you both here. And I'd like to ask Frank to bring up the there you go. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to send a message to either Ellen or Jim or both, you can contact them through the school district emails.
As they do in the Idol, they go like this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. That means he's relaxed and enjoying himself. That's a
that
good
will be
thing.
edited out.
We won't do that.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to thank you both so much for being on our show today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I get a chance as a grandparent to say thank you so much for what you've done for my grandchildren. I've just seen them blossom and grow. And these comments that you've been reading, they just apply. And so I want to thank you so much for the wonderful work that you do and that you're continuing to doing for a while, right?
Hope so. Yeah. Well, for a few more years.
For a few more years.
Yes.
And one thing I wanted to get in here real quick is the school is over. It's the summer. Do you both continue to enjoy music, play music during the summer? I know you had said that you play music and you teach music also.
Well, in the summer I don't teach music. I kind of take my batteries out and charge them. The older I get, the more I have to charge.
Okay.
Now for the school year, I took a class at Hart School of Music this summer on music technology, which is a weakness of mine. Just so happened I sat next to a nice young man that knew more about this than I did, so helped me get to do what I need to do. But it's one of my weaknesses, so of course we always want to find something that we're not as good at and better at. So I learned a lot, which I will share with you. And hopefully I will remember everything I learned. But I get a class because I have a student teacher, and that's one of the highlights too, is having student teachers, is we get to reflect on ourselves, because when they're teaching, we reflect on them, but we want them to reflect on our teaching, because it's always about learning. When you think you're the best, you really need to get out, because you're really fooling everybody. And more importantly, you're fooling yourself, because no one's that good. But you know, that's something I did, and then we played a little bit this summer at the Blues Monday there. But before I end my little saying, I just wanted to say that the select singers this year being called to sing at the state was very high level, and it was really represented Stonington in a very, very high, in a very positive fashion, and showed that our part of the eastern part of the state was represented with such wonderful children and our course teachers. So we don't want to slide that. We want to make sure that that's right on the table, because that's an important thing.
I appreciate that.
Yep. And you know something else, your jazz band has been honored many different times, and you were also honored this year, correct? With I can't remember exactly where it was, but
His the band award
the band
for your the band award just appeared in the Stonington Press.
Yeah, I didn't see
Yeah.
that. I was
Yes.
someone told me that there was something there, and I didn't know what it was.
Well, a little bird told me, and I just saw it today. So,
Oh.
can you want to just share about that? There were only 69 people were inducted into this from across the country.
ASPDA.
The ASPDA.
Yeah, it's a band association, and I was now I know what it is.
Yeah,
Okay, and
yeah.
I was inducted into this. It's a band thing that we do in like ASP. What is yours?
ACDA?
ACDA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a band. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to acknowledge that.
Oh, thank you.
I just couldn't remember what it was because it's not my thing, you know. I mean, they're in the school. I'm a grandparent. So, but thank you again so much.
And can I just say,
Yes.
this is our inaugural year of the Stonington Performing Arts Academy. So this week is actually our week of music theater camp that we're running at Stonington High School, along with Chris and Aaron Stanley for music theater. So it's the first year, and we're hoping it takes off to provide an opportunity for kids in Stonington to have some arts in the summer, and who knows where it can go from there.
Absolutely.
But we're getting that started.
And I've
so.
seen the Stanleys work before, and they're wonderful.
Absolutely. We know that when they go from Mystic Middle School to the high school, they're in fantastic hands with Mr. Stanley and Mrs. Gottlieb, and yeah.
How exciting.
I know.
Congratulations. Exciting.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words today.
Well, you're very welcome.
It was lovely. It
They're
was
meant.
really fun.
And thank you, too, for joining us. Before we go, okay, I always say a quote. Now, you may remember this one from when Jim Papoulis was here. And he said, that hits it right perfectly. So, I'll repeat it, okay? It's from Plato, of course, very smart man. He said, "Music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything." And I think that says a lot. It really does. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can contact us at any time through our email, our website, which they'll be bringing up here any second now. And just remember, you can always see us here, same time, same place. Go to the website, fromthiscornertv.com, and all of our shows are there. All the links are there. All the information is there. And we look forward to us having you as our audience again. And so thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful summer, and we'll see you again next time.